Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got a very interesting combination that I expect to see some very nasty results from as well. We recently tested some of these shells and they already gave us some nasty results as per usual with this type of shell and brand of shell, but I always have a few of you guys request these type of shells through this particular choke combo, so we had to bring it out here and see what it could do. But as for the shells we've got today, I brought out some more of the Winchester Longbeard XR loads. These ones though are the 12 gauge 3.5 inch 2-ounce payload of 5-shot at about 1200 feet per second. The Longbeard XR loads are probably the best performing lead shell that you can really get right now realistically, and the 3.5 inch ones in particular always seem to be very solid performers. We've tested them plenty of times in 4s and 6s, just recently found a box of 5s and it's already showed us a good pattern, so I expect more of the same today as well, assuming this box of Longbeard shells is consistently loaded, which has been a little bit of a note that I've heard a few people talk about here recently, especially some little bit of inconsistencies starting to pop up around the Longbeard loads, but I haven't ran into any of that with the 3.5 inch ones. Mainly the inconsistent ones that I have found have been the 20 gauge ones and the 12 gauge ones that are in the NWTF or the 50th anniversary boxes, but the standard regular style black box ones have seemingly been fine. As for the setup we're going to put them in, I brought out the Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag. It's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and we're going to be running a stock Mossberg Ulti-Full turkey choke. These 835s came with a couple different styles of turkey choke over the years. This one is the extended Ulti-Full. That's a 695 constriction. Factory Mossberg turkey chokes are usually some of the best performing stock turkey chokes that I've found anyway. Usually you don't even need to buy an aftermarket choke with them because they're perfectly solid, and that's been the case with this one as well. 695 constriction, since these 835s are overboard to 10 gauge bore specs, very much so your average turkey constriction. So in theory this combo should be a good performer because we've already seen good results with this choke and shotgun with other versions of the Longbeard loads as well. So as for today's test, we're going to run it the same as usual. I've got the turkey target at 40 yards and the chrono so we can get our velocity, so we'll get you guys a view of that target, take our shot, and see what kind of results we can get from these 3.5 inch 5s with a stock Mossberg turkey choke. I expect some nasty results, so let's take our shot and see what we get. Alright, that shell gave us 1283 through the chrono. Boss claim is only 1200, but this is not at all unusual to see mid to upper 1200s from these 3.5 inch Longbeards. So nothing out of the normal there from our 28-inch barrel that is overboard as well. So let's head down range and see what kind of pattern we got from them. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and we see some very nasty looking results. Right off the bat, I was to the left. It's probably me in this particular scenario. I felt okay about the shot, but this one was most likely me. It's why I'm trying to put as many red dots on shotguns as I can this spring, so we can hopefully start to mitigate this from happening. But that's also why we use the big sheets of paper behind our target so we can see everything. And even though we did favor to the left, we still absolutely had a dead bird at 40 yards all day long. Multiple of them through the brain, a number more of them down the spine there that would have done the job. And if we centered that up a few inches farther over to the right, yeah, that would be a nasty performer all day long. That's a tight pattern overall. You've got a really hot core area to it. Most of your pellets are within about a 12-inch circle right there, and that has been the normal with these 3.5 inch Longbeard shells. And for a stock choke, once again, the Mossbergs just seem to be a pretty good option because you definitely don't need to go out and get an aftermarket choke if you're getting that kind of pattern. So we have a really nice hot core right along the edge of that turkey target. We do have a little bit of a void just up in the top left area there, right above that core. It's not bad, but it is a little bit more noticeable than the rest. But most of our pattern is right there in the center of the screen. We do have a couple little stringy flyers down there off the bottom and a few more over here off the right, but none of that is unusual for a lead load or a Longbeard load either, but I think that kind of speaks for itself. It's a very nice, hot, nasty type of pattern. That is easily a 40+ yard capable combo. If you're a field hunter, that's going to do the job. If you got a bird that hangs up at 45 or 50, that's going to do the job just fine. It's a lead 5, so you can push it to 50 or 55 yards and still be confident enough in it to do the job. So very nice performance there. For some people, that might be a little bit too tight. And obviously, you don't have to run a 3.5-inch shell. They cost a little more and they're significantly higher recoiling as well. So a lot of people don't really want to run that either. But if you're a 3.5-inch guy, you've got an 835 with a stock choke, you can't complain about that. There's not going to be a turkey that survives that. Out to 40, 45, probably 50 yards as well. And at closer range, you're going to want to be careful and make sure that you have a good shot, because it's going to be tight and you may miss a bird. But once again, 3.5-inch Longbeards to a stock Mossberg choke did about exactly what I thought they would. Nice, hot, nasty pattern. And with the price of TSS this year, you can't argue with that kind of combination. A turkey is never going to make it through that kind of pattern if you put it where it needs to be. And here's the wad from that shell. The 3.5-inch Longbeards use a red color, but it's really no different than your standard Longbeard XR Winchester style wad. Little bit longer and different color. That's the only real difference. But no major damage. You can see a little bit of that buffer material residue down in there. And overall, looks very much normal. Nothing I'm concerned with, and clearly it did its job just fine. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance right there? I wish it was centered up a little bit better, but that's probably on me. Either way though, you can't argue with that kind of a result. It's a nasty pattern either way you put it. I'm not a 3.5-inch guy personally, but if that's what I had available to me, and they are still significantly cheaper than a TSS shell is this season, I wouldn't hesitate to run it, that's for sure. I would probably want to have my birds out a little bit farther range than 25 yards, because that's going to be pretty tight, and that bird may or may not have any kind of head left on him. Even at 40 yards, it's going to be a devastating shot, no doubt about it. So if you're a 3.5-inch guy that likes to hunt the edges of the field, that combo is going to get the job done any day of the week for you. So it did about exactly what I hoped it would, and pretty much exactly what I expected it would. One small little void, a couple little flyers around the edges, nothing unusual or detrimental to that pattern at all. So it is more than capable. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these 3.5-inch Longbeard shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is that a combo you would hunt with? Or are you just not a 3.5-inch guy and would much rather just use the regular old 3-inch like me? Or is that exactly the kind of performance you're looking for? A big shell with a nasty pattern. You can't argue with it, but different people are going to prefer different things. So leave all your thoughts down below, as well as maybe what other shells do you want to see me run through that combination, or what other chokes do you want to see me run those shells through. You can let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.